Let's take a look at some charts on Dogecoin from this week's article on Brave New Coin. So Doge is a bit of a meme coin, joke coin. Will never really have a store value, but it's fun to trade and watch and game theory stuff around it. It trades in a tight range, which I'll get to later, but it hasn't historically been above 100 sats ever for any length of time. So if we look at the hash rate and difficulty, it is merge mined with Litecoin. It is a script coin. They're both script coins. Now, if this merge mining initiative didn't pass in 2014, then Dogecoin may not be here today, just because it wouldn't be mined solo, most likely, because of mining profitability. So the Dogecoin hash rate and difficulty chart is basically the Litecoin hash rate and difficulty chart. Now, earlier this year, a few months ago, there was some botnet, Dogecoin botnet, surprisingly enough. So there may be some subtle variations in the hash rate and difficulty compared to Litecoin, but they're going to be pretty close. As you can see, nothing too special, just up, down, it followed. This is Litecoin's halving in August 2019, and hash rate really hasn't been the same ever since then for Dogecoin as well. If we look at the script ASICs, the profitability here is most certainly just Litecoin and not just Doge or both. It's probably just Litecoin's profitability. So if you're mining script coins, you're looking at the Litecoin stuff, and then anything after that's just a bonus, right? So any of the Doge you get is probably just, pennies on whatever this is, but it's not zero. And there haven't been any new script coins, which is probably why we haven't seen any crazy pops in, script ASICs, which is why we haven't seen any crazy pops in hash rate since the Litecoin halving. Doge's inflation rate constantly goes down. It's really over the past 3 years hasn't done much. It's gone from 4.8 to 3.8 in the past 3 years, so nothing crazy there. But that's kind of expected. It's never going to be a massive store value. It's never going to be some crazy expensive coin just because there are multiple billions of coins available. But it's a fun coin to get into and to learn about crypto, because you can spend pennies and move it around and lose it and whatever you need to sort of figure things out. If we look at transactions and mean transaction sizes, so I think this was the botnet up here that quickly went up and quickly went down. The botnet also coincided slightly with the TikTok stuff, so it's hard to tease apart which is which here, but they may have had a compounding effect. And it kind of wouldn't surprise me if the botnet people sparked some sort of TikTok influencer trend to sell at a higher price. I mean, historically, Doge has been targeted for pump and dumps in the past. You can Google "Whoa Long" to read up on that back in the early days. But yeah, crazy stuff like that wouldn't surprise me. It's just a vessel for stuff like that to happen. So overall, transactions are up, but pretty much back in the range, at least at the top of the range, the multi-year range here. If you look at NVT, inverse metric of economic utility, and active addresses are pretty much near all-time highs on the 30-day average, which is bullish. NVT went way down with the TikTok stuff, and it slowly started to increase again, pretty much in the middle of the range, so nothing crazy there. But to see transactions pop up and active addresses pop up for any network is bullish. We're just not really seeing that in the price, probably because inflation is still too high and the total number of coins is just astronomical. It'd be interesting to see if the total number of lost coins is actually known for Doge, because I think I said in the article the total number of coins is 120 billion or something. Here's MVRV, another not inverse metric, but it takes market cap divided by the amount of coins moving on the chain. And whenever the market cap is several multiples above what's actually moving on the chain, that's usually overbought territory. We're currently kind of cruising near oversold, but sort of in the middle of the range. So plenty of upside for craziness to happen. I said on Twitter yesterday that it's not really a bubble until Dogecoin hits $1 billion market cap, which is what we saw in late 2017, early 2018. Crazy stuff like that is still possible with Doge. If we look at the GitHub commits, there really haven't been anything over the past couple of years. They do have updates fairly regularly. 4, in fact, they've had since the past couple of years that just aren't on here as far as the commits are concerned. But it's always striking to see all these commits and then go to nothing. They obviously just had a change in protocol and what they do. I don't know, developer-wise, but to see that is never a good thing unless you know an explanation behind what's going on. Looking at Google Trends, you can see the TikTok spike here in searches or interest and it's right back down to kind of nothing. Searches did spike a little bit here recently, but price is sitting near all-time lows basically on the BTC pair. And if we look at technicals, we have RSI, VPVR, yearly pivots, and Bollinger Bands. So Doge was kind of flat for almost a year, broke out with the TikTok stuff, and then continued to sell off, sitting again back at all-time lows, essentially 17 sats. Is a bit of a bull div, a little bit here on the weekly. You'll probably see it better on like the daily or the 2-day or whatever. But really the big level to watch is 40 sats. If it can get above 30 to 40 sats again, then I expect this multi-week run to 100. You know, kind of like historically what's happened. Typically these moves up sort of happened every 265 days or whatever it was when you measure this out. And it really hasn't had a cycle like that, excluding the TikTok stuff recently. So most people just watch this on the weekly because it's really slow to move. It doesn't really do much on a day-to-day basis. It'll be interesting to see if the Bollinger Bands squeeze once again into 2021, and if we get any sort of action above 30-40 into 2021, because then it looks like it has a decent shot at 100 sats, like I said. Here's the weekly cloud. It's just, you know, where you expect anything bearish to be, below everything, bearish DK cross. If this gets above 60 on the weekly cloud, then it has definitely a decent shot at 100 sats. Now, interestingly enough, something I never look at, but I did yesterday, was the Doge USD weekly chart. So this is a conversion from the Polo Doge BTC pair. It doesn't necessarily actually exist or has existed for this long. It's just math conversion. But turning that on, popping on the cloud, you do start to see some inverted head and shoulder stuff. You know, it's pretty clear horizontal here at around 0035 or whatever this is in actual USD. And anything above 0041, it looks like, may start some bullishness. So I do think this is worth watching at a Q2. You can set alerts, you can forget about it. You know, you can set alerts for 25 sats or something, then just forget about it. Or set alerts for 0040 on the USD pair, just forget about it. Because I do think this will have a run. Historically it has. I don't think 2021 will be any different. And the Doge BTC on the daily, again, just looks just as bearish as you'd expect anything bearish would be. Below the 50, below the 200, below the cloud, bearish DK cross, just all bearish, the stuff. Here's another alert level to watch for at 23 sats, the daily cloud level. So overall, transactions are up, active addresses are up. That all may be mining related, botnet related. The TikTok effect looks like it's long gone, even though search has peaked up a little bit over the past couple weeks. Technicals look about as bearish as they ever will look. You know, it's got 17 sats before 0, and then we price it in something else. So if it's going to move, next year is probably the time. I don't think that'll be a sustained move. You know, historically Doge hasn't sustained anything, much like this TikTok stuff. Just spikes real quick and then it's over. But it's worth setting in some alerts. It's a pretty easy trade setup. Doge generally has pretty good liquidity just because there's so many coins, which is why I watch it every month here on Brave New Coin.